Let me take you back to the very first moment I realized that dreams are never free. I wish someone had told me this when I was young and naive, full of wild ambitions and boundless hope. Back then, I believed success was just about talent, about ideas, about working a little harder than the next person. But life, in its ruthless kindness, taught me that every dream worth having comes with a price tag, and it's never written in dollars alone. I remember the nights I spent alone in a small, cold room, scribbling thoughts that made no sense to the people around me. They laughed when I told them I would build something great, when I spoke of riches and freedom and the power of the mind. Some thought I was insane. Others thought I was just a fool. Maybe I was both. But I was a fool with a purpose, and that made all the difference. I sacrificed sleep. I sacrificed comfort. I sacrificed friendships that did not understand my obsession. I missed weddings, birthdays, funerals, events that stitched other families and communities together. There were times when loneliness pressed so hard on my chest, I thought it would suffocate me. Yet I stayed loyal to my vision, because deep inside, I knew that ordinary sacrifices bring ordinary results. Extraordinary sacrifices shape an extraordinary destiny. Looking back, I see clearly now that the biggest price I paid was not measured in hours or lost nights. It was paid in parts of myself that I had to bury along the way. The carefree boy who loved wasting afternoons under the sun, laughing with friends. He died quietly, while I spent those same hours reading, writing, negotiating with men who were 10 times more ruthless than I ever imagined I'd have to be. There were days when doubt became my only companion. Doubt is a cruel friend. It whispers questions that make you want to run back to safety. But dreams never live in safe places. They live on the edges where fear and faith fight each other every day. And so, I learned to pay another price. I had to kill the part of me that needed approval, the part that needed someone to clap for me, to reassure me that I was good enough. No one claps for you at 3 a.m. when your eyes are bloodshot and your bank account is empty and your heart is screaming at you to quit. There is no cheering squad when you risk your last penny on an idea that may never work. The applause comes much, much later, if it ever comes at all. Until then, the dreamer must applaud himself in silence. I lost people along the way, not because they hated me, but because they could not understand my hunger. And hunger terrifies those who are full. They tried to love me. There were also prices I didn't expect to pay. Regret is one of them. No matter how strong you think you are, you cannot walk through life cutting away parts of your heart without leaving scars. I have scars, invisible to you, but heavy on nights when I remember the laughter I missed, the hands I did not hold, the apologies I never made because I was too busy becoming someone important. Yet, and this is the hardest thing to admit, I would do it all again. Every sleepless night, every betrayal, every loss, I would pay it twice over, because the man I became through sacrifice is worth more to me than the comfort I gave up. My dreams were not given to me freely. They were sold to me by life at the highest possible cost. My comfort, my relationships, my false sense of security. If you are listening to my voice now, know this. Your dreams will demand payment. They will ask for things you didn't think you could live without. They will test you, torment you, break you, and then, if you stand tall in the ruins of what you were, they will crown you with a victory no one can take away. I paid for my dreams with tears that nobody saw, with doubts I buried in pages that no one will read, with love I did not know how to give because all my love was poured into a vision only I could see. I was selfish. Maybe I still am. But tell me, how can you build something immortal if you are not willing to die to your old self? They say you can't have it all. And they're right. You can't. You must choose. If you choose greatness, you must abandon ease. If you choose purpose, you must abandon distraction. If you choose to build a legacy, you must abandon the comfort of living just for today. The dream and the price are twins. You cannot have one without the other. So, when you wonder whether it's worth it, remember me. Remember these words. If the price scares you, the prize is probably worth it. If you want your dream enough, you will pay in full. Not because you love pain, but because you understand that all wealth begins in the mind, but it grows in the furnace of sacrifice. I am still paying. Every day. And every day my dream rewards me with something greater than money. It rewards me with the unshakable knowledge that I did not live and die as a spectator. I paid the price, and I earned the right to stand here and tell you, pay yours. It is worth it. When people ask me what made the biggest difference in my life, what secret ingredient turned my ideas into reality, they expect me to say luck, or connections, or maybe talent. I smile when I hear that question, because the real answer is so simple that most ignore it. Discipline. Not the discipline your parents shouted at you about when you were late for dinner. Not the forced obedience of school rules. I am talking about a discipline so powerful, it bends your very nature to your will. I did not wake up one morning as a disciplined man, far from it. I was born lazy, distracted, restless. My mind wandered to 1,000 places at once. Like most people, I wanted results without paying the price. I wanted shortcuts, hacks, magic tricks. But reality does not respect wishes. It respects order, routine, and sacrifice. And so, I had to forge my own discipline, link by painful link, until it became my strongest armor. In the beginning, I failed more than I succeeded. I would make promises to myself. I will wake up at dawn every day. I will write 10 pages a day. I will read for 2 hours each night. And by the third day, excuses would creep in like thieves in the dark. You deserve to rest, they whispered. You worked hard yesterday. Take it easy. And like a fool, I would listen. Over time, I realized the enemy was not laziness, but my own mind. A mind that wanted comfort more than greatness. The moment I understood that, I declared war on my weakness. I made discipline my daily battle. I woke up early, even when my eyes burned with fatigue. I sat at my desk, even when my head throbbed with doubt. I forced myself to read when I would rather be with friends. I forced myself to write when the words felt like stones in my mouth. It was not heroic. It was not glorious. It was boring. But that boredom was my forge. Inside that dull repetition, I turned my chaos into structure. Every day, I gained a small victory, and each small victory stacked like bricks until I stood on a fortress that no distraction could break. Discipline gave me freedom. It sounds like a paradox, but it is not. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you feel like whenever you want. That is not freedom. That is slavery to your impulses. True freedom is doing what must be done, even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is the chain that binds you to your purpose when your feelings beg you to abandon it. People envy the life I have now, the opportunities, the wealth, the respect. They see the end result, but never the early mornings, the lonely nights, the temptation I defeated 1,000 times. They do not see the parties I skipped, the distractions I silenced, the moments when I said no to fun, because I had said yes to my dream. Even now, when temptation comes, and it always comes, I bow to my routine instead. My alarm clock is my most loyal friend. My daily rituals are my silent bodyguards. I do not negotiate with my excuses. If I must write, I write. If I must study, I study. If I must plan, I plan. Discipline does not ask for permission. It commands my body and mind to obey. Sometimes people call me cold, or too rigid, or obsessed. I accept those labels gladly, because I know what lack of discipline brings. Regret, wasted potential, a life of excuses and half-finished promises. I would rather be called harsh today than call myself a failure tomorrow. I learned something important along this journey. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline endures. Motivation is like the spark that lights a fire, but discipline is the wood that keeps it burning through the longest, coldest night. If you wait for motivation to show up every morning, you will die waiting. But if you build discipline, you do not need motivation. You move forward whether you feel inspired or not. There were times when I hated my own rules. I cursed the alarm that dragged me out of warm dreams. I resented the hours spent repeating the same work, perfecting the same idea. But each time I obeyed my discipline, I earned something money cannot buy: self-respect. That respect became my silent reward, stronger than praise from the world. People often ask, how do I become disciplined? They want a trick, a quick hack. The answer is simple. Start with one small promise, and do not break it. Wake up when you said you would. Do the one task you promised yourself you would finish. Keep that promise today, then tomorrow, then the next day. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you become someone you can trust. And when you trust yourself, you can conquer anything. My discipline is not perfect. I am still human. I stumble, I slip, I fall into old habits. But the difference now is that I do not stay down. Discipline has taught me how to stand up faster than I fall. I do not negotiate with my weaknesses anymore. I replace them with routines that leave no room for them to grow. One day, long ago, I read these words: "A man who conquers himself is greater than a man who conquers a city." Those words changed me forever. My enemy was never the world, it was always me. And my greatest victory is not the wealth I gained, but the mastery I earned over my own mind. So when you hear my voice telling you this, do not admire my success, admire my discipline. For it is the unseen force behind every word I write, every deal I make, every lesson I share. It is my greatest ally, my fiercest weapon, my most loyal friend. I owe everything I have to discipline, and so will you. If you want greatness, chain yourself to discipline. If you want freedom, obey your own rules. If you want to build something that outlives you, begin by conquering yourself. If there is one truth I wish every hungry dreamer could tattoo onto their mind, it is this: failure is not your enemy. It is your blacksmith. It does not come to destroy you, it comes to shape you, to hammer out the weak metal and make you strong enough to hold the weight of success. I was not born rich, I was not born wise, and I was certainly not born fearless. I became all these things through failures so humiliating, so painful that they broke me open and forced me to rebuild myself from the ashes of my pride. I remember my first real failure like it was yesterday. I had saved every penny I had made from selling small ideas and cheap words to people who barely cared about my dreams. I gathered that money and poured it into a venture I was certain would change my life. I told everyone around me, "This is it. This is my breakthrough." It failed within months. The debt collectors came knocking. The friends who had applauded my courage quietly disappeared. The laughter of my critics echoed louder than my own voice of hope. I sat alone in a borrowed room, staring at the empty promises I had made to myself. For days I could not speak of it. The shame sat in my throat like a stone. I wanted to run away, to blame the market, the economy, the people who betrayed me. But deep down, I knew I had failed not because of them, but because I did not yet know enough, prepare enough, or fight hard enough. Failure was my mirror. It showed me everything I refused to see in the glow of my own ambition. It was then I understood a lesson that changed my life. Failure is tuition. You pay for knowledge with your pride, your money, your time, but you pay it, and you learn lessons that no book or mentor can give you. Those lessons sink deep into your bones. They carve you into something sharper, tougher, wiser. Most people fear failure so much that they never pay the price. They stay safe, they plan forever, they dream in secret and speak in whispers. They never jump, so they never fall, but they never fly either. I did not want that life, so I paid the price of failure again and again. Every great thing I ever built stands on foundations of plans that crumbled before they could hold my weight. My fortune is made of bricks molded from my mistakes. Each wrong turn, each betrayal, each bad decision forced me to look at my flaws without mercy. I failed in business. I failed in relationships. I failed in promises I made to myself. I lost money, time, energy, hope, sometimes all at once. But with each failure, I gained something far more valuable than money. I gained clarity. Failure stripped away my illusions. It taught me to ask better questions, to trust people slowly, to test ideas ruthlessly, to never fall in love with my plan more than I loved the truth. Each lesson cost me something, but each lesson paid me back tenfold when the next opportunity came along. Do you know what failure gave me above all? Courage. Strange, isn't it? You would think failure makes you more afraid. But repeated failure made me fearless. When you survive losing everything, once, twice, 3 times, you stop trembling when you take risks. You know that you are stronger than the worst-case scenario, and that knowledge makes you unstoppable. I remember a conversation I once had with a young man. He was desperate to start his first business, but he could not get past his fear of losing money. I asked him, "What is the worst that can happen?" He said, "I could go broke." I smiled and said, "Good. Go broke. Learn what it feels like. Once you survive it, you will realize money is just paper. What matters is who you become when you lose it all." He did not understand me then, but he will. Everyone does, sooner or later. Life is a patient teacher. It will keep giving you the same painful lesson until you learn it, until you stop seeing failure as punishment and start seeing it as permission to grow. My biggest breakthroughs always hid behind my biggest failures. Each door slammed in my face forced me to find a better door, a better idea, a better version of myself. Sometimes failure redirected me away from people who would have ruined me later. Sometimes it forced me to pivot when I was too stubborn to see a better path. People celebrate my success now, but they forget to count the thousands of humiliating rejections I collected like trophies. Every no sharpened my pitch. Every loss forced me to innovate. Every closed door turned me into a locksmith. Even now, failure sits at my table like an old friend. I do not run from it. I do not pretend I have outgrown it. Every new idea, every big bet, every expansion, I know I could fail again. And that knowledge keeps me humble, hungry, alert. There is one truth I know for certain. Failure never ends you. Quitting does. As long as you get up, as long as you adjust, as long as you keep swinging, failure is just part of the process. You cannot win without losing along the way. So fail forward, fail often, fail wisely. And when you do not curse your bad luck. Thank your failure. It is the hammer that shapes you, the fire that purifies you, the anvil that turns your soft metal into steel. I failed my way here, and if you want to join me at the top, you will fail your way here too. Embrace it, endure it, learn from it. And when you stand where I stand, you will look back and say, "My failures were the best investment I ever made."